Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. And welcome back to this week's episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week, well, it's a JRPG, so you know damn well who the hell is here right now. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. James. How you doing today?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Good to be back on the show, and always, I think you should just do JRPGs every week. I think that seems what you're going for, right?
Oh man, that's what seems like the horizon is going to be.
A lot of 100-hour games in your future.
At least every other week. Willie, I think I've talked about this on the show, but Willie did come up with a good idea to, in between episodes. So, like next week, I'll do a short game, and then the week after that, I'll start Dragon Quest. Or okay. I'm gonna start Dragon Quest this week, but I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks of playing that, and then in between doing the episodes for the long games, I'm gonna play like a 2 or 3 hour game that you can beat, and then do a little short episode on that in between the long episodes, because Dragon Quest is going to take a while.
Oh, I don't see any other way you would do it, because your son now, Berseria was a little bit shorter on the JRPG scale, but still, Dragon Quest easy 100 hours.
Yeah, and I'm thinking even spaced out, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 episodes.
To do it properly, of course, yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing is running short games in between the longer ones to kind of give me, so I'm not trying to crunch a bunch in a week. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Because I feel like because I've started playing some Final Fantasy 14 again, I did myself a disservice playing Tales of Berseria, and there were at least 2 days that I was like, I should be playing Tales of Berseria, but I'm just going to play Final Fantasy 14 all day because I'm trying to get this damn certain gear for my paladin so he looks cool. But I persevered. I did roll credits on
good work.
Tales last night.
Yeah, we were. It's funny because we've talked plenty of times before, but and just to throw this out there, we did not talk beforehand. I just so happened to start playing this game again as a replay. And then, a couple days later, I think you got the poll results, and it won. So, by the fates, we just ended up playing this game at the same time, and, we're both racing to try to finish it. We tried last week, and we were nowhere near it. We really wanted to finish it, because you haven't played it before, and to talk about it fully, you've got to actually beat the game and roll credits.
Yeah, and in fact, last night when I rolled credits,
Not to get to that moment yet. We'll touch on it in a little bit. But when I did, I was in Discord with my Final Fantasy crew. Shout out Dave, Grimm, Zal, Palsh, and Dave, Grimm, Zal, Palsh, me, and TPH. He's a new addition, so I was trying to think of who was the other new. So shout out those guys. We were all sitting in chat, just talking, and I just went, "Oh shit," and muted myself and pulled my headphones off because the cutscene got real. So I wanted to really hear it, and then I sat there and I had some tears. I didn't quite cry, like I wasn't like
no,
but I definitely had like one or two of the Indian tears stroll down my face, like, oh man, or Native American tears, whatever you want to call it.
It's okay. That's the least offensive thing you're going to say today.
Fair. I thought it really wrapped up. I will say this right off the bat. It makes me want to play Zestiria.
Does it though?
It does, because see, I've got none of that built up aggression towards Zestiria, and
we can touch on that, of course, too.
But apparently the worlds intertwine. It's the same world space, but there's a huge time gap, I think, between them.
Yes. Yeah.
So
we can dive into that now if you want to.
Yeah. We should. Yeah, we can.
So Berseria is a prequel to Zestiria. But Zestiria ended up coming out first. I forget what year, maybe 2014. It was towards the beginning of PS4. Berseria followed into 2016, being a prequel and a 100% better video game. So I hated Zestiria. I didn't like much of anything about it whatsoever. Berseria was a completely different experience. I loved it immensely and ended up actually playing it, the second time through. But they are 1,000 years, between each entry, and connected in terms of what happens at the end of Berseria is the story for Zestiria. So I would encourage you to play it. You don't have the $60, this is a terrible game problem going for you. I think, what'd you pay, a couple bucks for it? It wasn't much.
Zestiria, I think I got for $7.99.
Yeah. So you've got a whole different mindset of longtime Tales fan like I am, completely disappointed. You can at least go into it and say, okay, I want to continue this story even if I don't like the overall mechanics of the game.
Okay. Now, after listening to this episode, if anyone feels interested in playing these games, I do want to say that for the next 10 days, 21 hours, HumbleBundle.com has a Best of Bandai Namco bundle going.
Oh, yes.
And if you pay $12 or more, Tales of Berseria is one of the games that you unlock, along with, let's see, it says pay $1 to unlock Pac-Man 256.
Mm-hmm.
Big whoop. But pay $12 to also unlock Tekken 7, Tales of Berseria, and Katamari Damacy Reroll.
Big value there.
Yeah. And then pay $19 to unlock as well, along with those, Tales of Zestiria, Rad, and Little Nightmares Complete Edition. So if you wanted to drop $20, you could have Berseria and Zestiria. So if we sell you on this game today, go get it cheap from Humble Bundle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I paid $120 for both of them, so I would easily... Berseria goes on sale all the time for $10, but I mean that's a good deal. I thought Code Vein was in there too for $20, which is another JRPG.
I think Code Vein is on the next.
Okay.
The next tier.
Okay. I thought it was a $20 one. But maybe.
No, yeah. Here's the thing: like you can pay $19.07 to unlock those games, or you can pay $20 and also get Code Vein and Project Cars 3. So
yeah.
You could spend 93 more cents and get 2 more games.
I didn't love Code Vein. I just played the demo and kind of like it was a little too slow for me. But $20 for all those games is really ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how Humble Bundle stays in business.
I don't either. They're still in it, I guess.
Yeah, I've got Code Vein, and it's on the list, but I've installed it and kind of messed around with the character creator, which I thought was pretty cool. But other than that, I haven't.
Yeah,
played much.
that might be the best part, honestly.
I know it's kind of like a Souls-esque type, like slow brooding combat, heavy hits.
That's kind of the impression I got, but it was just kind of like, I mean, like I said, I only played the demo, so I probably shouldn't pass judgment on it, but I wasn't impressed enough to want to put down money for it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let me run through the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit real quick here. We've got Tales of Berseria, or also known as Teruzu Obu Berseria.
Nice.
I think I got that right.
Yeah.
Is a Japanese-style action role-playing video game developed and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and Microsoft Windows. It is the 16th main entry in the Tales series and a prequel to Tales of Zestiria. It was released in Japan for PlayStation 3 and 4 in mid-August 2016 and released worldwide for PlayStation 4 and Windows January 2017. There is a manga adaptation of this game that was serialized in Ichijensha.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Monthly comic magazine since October 2016. So that's pretty cool.
It is. I'd forgotten that came out for PS3 in Japan, and obviously didn't come out in the West. By that point, PS4 had taken over completely.
I was about to say, I'm surprised this came out on PS3, but this is also like, I was surprised that Persona 5 came out on PS3.
Exactly. That was right then. I guess 2016, it was still popular enough in Japan to warrant a release, but worldwide, not so much.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it would run like garbage, though. I can't imagine it being all that great.
Yeah, man, I can imagine, like low frames, less textures.
Yeah, I mean, especially obviously you're playing on PC and I'm playing on PS4, but like, there's a lot going on there at any one time, especially in some of the midst of battle. So I can't imagine it being able to handle it.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and touch on the battle system real quick.
Oh yes,
I turned it on manual at your suggestion, and it got a lot easier.
Okay.
To handle, because like, I guess when it was on semi-auto or whatever it's called, I didn't even look at what the other choices were.
Yeah, it's basically auto, semi-auto, or manual. Yeah,
the semi-auto
which has always
one,
been that's been the case with all of Tales games.
That's kind of like if you press, you can just press attacks and she'll pretty much run to the one she's targeting, correct? And then start attacking.
Yes, as soon as you hit the attack button, whoever you're targeting, she'll or him will run, across the screen if they have to attack them. They won't hit the nearest person.
Okay. I got. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. Was not sold on the combat at first.
Okay.
And if I had to say that this game had a weak point, it would be the combat.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that's it's like a minor complaint of mine, and it was just, I felt like after a while I was like, oh god, another random battle. All right. Mash buttons. All right, they're dead in 20 seconds. All right, move on.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought, like, don't get me wrong, the combat is fluid and it feels good and it was fun. It just got a little repetitive, but that could have been also me crunching this game the way I did. Like, absolutely 100% probably has to do with that I just crammed so much of Tales of Berseria that I was, after 6 hours of random battles, I was like, oh my god.
that I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I don't think really any games are designed to be played that long. I mean, speaking personally, I'm lucky if I get 2 hours a night, so that seems like more of a good play amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I should remind myself that.
A humble reminder every week: don't play video games all day long.
But so without like running through it beat by beat, you got your main character, Velvet Crow. Let's go ahead and say right off the bat, Velvet's a badass.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like even before all the Lord of Calamity stuff, like, she's got a good head on her shoulders, and like when the game starts out, you're just like in this little village, and you kind of gather that your sister died, your little brother's sick,
Yeah.
and your dad, or I assumed it was your dad. You don't really know at the time. Was like kind of like away on business, or he was off doing something. And help me out with this. She needed to get, as Velvet, you need to go get prickle board meat to trade for medicine for Laphicet, right?
I believe that is what happens at the very beginning, which, oh, by the way, it is not atypical for JRPGs. It's slow. Like, there's some, backstory going on. Kind of, if you play the beginning and you've seen the cover of the game, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? This is obviously before everything goes down, and you've got to learn the mechanics of the game. So, yeah, you got to go get your prickle boar meat to trade with the trader to get Laphicet's medicine, because he's got the, the 12-year sickness, I believe they call it. It's basically, I don't know what you would equate to that in the real world, but very weak and can't really get out of bed, always running a fever, and the medicine's the only thing that kind of gives him the strength to even get through the day. So it keeps that kind of sad theme the entire game, but it starts off that way. But
yeah, dude, this game was very bleak for a lot of it.
And
I respected that choice, though. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't feel the need to artificially cheer you up in spots. It's like, nah, dude, this world is full of fucking misery. Welcome to it.
It is the world of malevolence, and some of the other Tales games have done that idea to death, and like you said in the opening, there's 16 titles. You got to do something different, and this was definitely a big difference, especially coming from Zestiria, which was definitely more kind of bright and sunny and all happy-go-lucky type of deal, but this was dark, and it stayed dark. There was some, the light moments shine brighter because it's such a dark story, but overall, it kind of keeps it.
Absolutely. So, at a certain point during the whole tutorial, beginning teaching you what's going on, the Scarlet Night happens again. Now, the opening cutscene of the game is during the Scarlet Night, and if I remember, you don't get to see Velvet. You're seeing through her eyes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so.
And Arthur, who is the guy that you think is the father figure, or whatever you think he is, it might be brought up that he's the brother-in-law during that scene a little bit later, but I don't remember exactly when that was. But the Scarlet Night happens, and demons attack the village, and it kind of goes vague because he gives you guys an apple and he's like, here, be safe. And then it kind of just cuts forward to, you going to get the prickle boar meat and all of that. Now, flash forward, like you said, it does take a bit. I was surprised at how long you were in this like first village area.
I guess 2 or 3 hours probably. It's a good little bit.
But you end up waking up one night after, oh man, is it? Yeah, you guys got attacked by demons going to get the flower for Celica, who is Velvet's dead sister.
Yeah, you go out to the cave to go get the flowers. So.
That's right. And she wakes up in bed, and everyone's gone, and it's the Scarlet Night. And that's when you watch Arthur
oh my God,
sacrifice Laphicet in front of Velvet, even though it's supposed to be for the greater good. And man, that's a rough scene.
It is, because you have no idea what's going on. Like the Scarlet Night apparently happens every 3 years, I believe that's what it is.
Yeah,
and so you kind of saw what it was, and then you like demons are everywhere. Velvet's trying to go figure out what's going on, and he throws the art up and sacrifices Laphicet right in front of him, which I mean, I can't even imagine. Like,
oh yeah,
because she loves Laphicet so much. She's basically both parents for Laphicet. She's always taking care of him. I don't. You said that about father being out of town. I don't recall them even saying that. Like, I just assumed they were dead. but you may be right.
No, I know at that point in the game, I was thinking that Arturius or Arthur, whatever you want to call him, was like maybe their dad.
Okay.
That was when I was having that thought that
you could assume that if you didn't know any better. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you find out brother-in-law, but that's who I was referring to. Like I figured.
Okay, I got you.
He was off doing something because whenever Velvet gets in trouble, he kind of just shows up.
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, where'd you come from? Thank you for saving me.
But yeah, so yeah, Lafayette gets sacrificed, but of course Velvet finally breaks free and goes to save him in this giant pit. Like it's a crazy thing, and then it really gets even crazier, right?
Yeah, because he basically tells Velvet, like, well, you're fucked. And she's holding on to Lafayette, holding on to the lip of this giant hole. And does he slash at her hand, or does he cut her arm off?
Yeah. I mean, he's got his giant sword, and he just cuts her arm off.
Yeah,
which, kind of you can't hold on if you're.
Yeah.
She's holding on with one hand, and then there goes the other one. So they both fall down the pit, and then that's when the giant, big dragon-looking creature comes up and eats them, and then explodes in the sky, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and then it kind of cuts forward to what I had seen as far as the trailer-esque type stuff for the game, where there's a demon in that room, and all of a sudden Velvet, like you just see her hand, and it's this giant. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a massive demon claw.
Yeah.
That she just
giant
grows
black claw. Yeah.
out of her like left arm, and she uses this to eat demons. Which let me go ahead and let's just go over and cover this. Who the hell puts an A in the word demon? Because to me,
I assumed it was like some sort of old English type of deal, right?
It must be, because to me that says Damon.
Yeah, it's weird. You see that randomly in other games too. That's not the first time I've seen that, but I've never liked it. It doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, every time I see that I say Damon, and then of course it never fails in the game. They're like, "Oh no, it's demons," and I'm like, "Oh, all right." One day I'm going to play a game where it's going to be spelled that way, and someone's just going to call it Damon, and I'm going to be like, "Thank you."
Thanks. That makes it better.
But there are basically three, what would you call them, types of people in the world. I guess you got demons, Malachim, and humans.
That's right.
And humans, before the night that Laffy was sacrificed, were unable to see demons, correct?
They were unable to see Malachim and demons, and then the first awakening, I believe they called it, was then they could start to see them. And, of course, then when people's malevolence takes over, that's when people turn into demons. And they turn into giant werewolf-looking things, basically, and all other sorts of hideous creatures.
Yeah, and that's where the story basically starts, is then you are Velvet, and you're trying to escape this prison so you can go and kill Artorias. That is now your life's fucking goal. You'll care about anything. You will do anything that you have to. You will fuck over anybody that you have to. You are going to kill Artorias.
Yeah, I mean, that's when Velvet first gets his claw, like, she goes and attacks all the demons, and when she kills the demon and eats him, it turns them back into human, which is kind of weird. So then, like, she looks around, and she's basically just murdered her entire village, all of her friends, everybody she's ever known. Artorias has done this horrible deed, and then locks her away in this like pit for 3 years, feeding her nothing but demons to eat on, and her clothes just slowly disappear.
Yeah, that was another thing with her outfit. I was like, how did she go from her like little villager's outfit where she's all covered up and everything to lots of leather and straps and exposure?
I mean, if you really look closely, you can kind of see that's what she had, and it's just been disintegrated, and then maybe, thrown into the pit over the years. She's gotten some belts, because, I mean, it is a Japanese game, so there has to be belts involved, and kind of holding things together. Quickly, while we're on this about the clothing, right? So there's a scene later in the game at the end with her and Lafayette, and they take a bath, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, how do you put these clothes back on? I mean, they are rags. There's no way you could take those off and then somehow get them back on.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But you're absolutely right.
Like there's no way they were even held on to begin with without glue, let alone to take off and put back on. Come on, get some clothes.
And not to jump too far ahead, but there was a scene with Laphicet and Magilu, who we'll get to Magilu in a second. But she's like talking about all the books that she's got around her waist.
Oh my gosh, it's the best.
And Laffy's just like really interested in these books. And then I don't remember what the hell Laffy said. She was like, "Oh, you want to see what's under this one?"
Uh-huh.
And Laffy's like, "Yeah, sure." And she just lifts it up, and there's her crotch. Obviously, she's got underwear on.
Yeah.
But there's her crotch, and I think it's Eleanor comes walking over and's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, we skipped ahead some key information there. We'll back up a little bit because there's now Laphicet, the sacrificed brother, and then there's the reborn Malakin who looks just like Laphicet but who's not,
Yeah.
and then Velvet calls him Laphicet to further confuse things just completely.
Yeah, really. And that's what I had next on my notes was the going through the characters, so we could go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So we got Velvet. We've talked about her. She's very dark, very brooding.
Your
out for
perfect
revenge.
woman, I believe you said, right?
She is my perfect woman, physically.
Not claw hand, I'm hoping.
No, not claw hand. Not claw hand. Villager Velvet would have been best.
Gotcha.
Though the other two grew on me over the game.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
the next character that you meet that I can remember clearly is Rokuro,
Rokuro, yeah.
who became my bud. Like, Rokuro's the man. I respected the shit out of him.
Yeah, for a demon. Yeah.
For being a demon, yeah, he was very, lived by his code, and he was going to do what he got to do. He was going to repay his debt to Velvet no matter what, and he wanted to kill his brother. That was his two things. He wants to kill his brother and repay debts.
So, yeah, you meet Rokuro in the island prison as you're escaping, I guess if you want to say, Ceres, the reborn Celica.
Yeah, which
comes to free you. But Roku is the first person you meet, and you tell him where his sword is. And apparently, that small act is enough for him to now gang up with you for the next 50 hours and fight God.
Yeah, you're fighting him, and he's just like, somebody mentions a sword, and he's just like, a sword, thank you, and then runs off.
I owe you a debt. Shall I pay over the next forever? Stormhowl, yeah.
Yeah, Stormhowl and what was it? What was his brother's sword?
Stormquell. Yeah.
Stormquell. That's right. Yeah. Now, next up, you meet Magilu. Now, for my notes, for Rokuro, I had Rokuro's a badass with he's a sympathetic character underneath all his brawn, though.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I wrote Magilu is Magilu.
You cannot properly explain this character as she obviously evolves during the story, but her story is so deep and twisted and funny, and I love Magilu. Might be my favorite character in this game.
She is hilarious. One of my favorite things that she would do throughout the entire game was that somebody would be having a conversation that you could tell could go wrong, and Magilu would just appear like out of the corner of the screen with this really evil look on her face. And then she would just start talking about something that would bring up a fight, or say between Aizen and Velvet or something. Yes. But it was always funny to watch her just slide into camera view with that evil look on her face like she's about to stir some shit.
Yes, yeah, that is a good term for her. Just always stirring things up, always bringing up a negative point. But yeah, she's a witch and ultra. You've got to have your mage in any Tales or any JRPG, and she fills that role. You were talking about the books, so belts in JRPGs, and now books that she has at least 4, I believe. So she has a book in front, and a book on each hip, and a book in the back, or 2 books in the back that she wears. And like I said, there was that humorous skit that kind of explained what in the world was going on and what they were, but. Yeah, a witch with books around her waist. You can't make this up.
Yeah, and a big hat.
Very big hat.
I never found any other hats for her other than like the Nomen.
The Norman, yeah.
Yeah, the norming stuff, which I didn't use that.
Yeah, it was interesting to take it off, though, and see just normal hat hair.
Yeah.
Maggaloo. But I don't mess with the character. I mean, I guess if I'd have paid money for the DLC costumes, I might have tried them out, but I didn't really do much. The only thing I did change Velvet's hair to villager hair, which the regular hair is just too out of control.
Yeah, Velvet's hair is basically would drag the ground when she's running around.
Huge.
It's so long. And then, oh man, my mind just blanked. What was
I don't know where you're going.
As far as the costumes and stuff.
Okay.
I ended up giving, I didn't wear like any of the costumes, like changing the way they dressed, but I would do like I gave Velvet the plugs like I wear in my ears.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Because I figured it fit her, and like I think I gave them to Rokuro too, because I was like, it fits him. Aizen wore an eye patch the whole game for me.
You told me that, and I was like, well, duh. He's a pirate. That makes sense.
And it's just like, as soon as I equipped it to him, I was like, oh, bro, you look like you should have been wearing one of these. Like, it just so fit his demeanor. What I thought was funny with Rokuro was if you were to put the eye patch on him, it would cover the one eye that's not covered by hair.
Okay. So he basically blonde.
It looked a little funny, yeah. So I didn't use it on him. But then, like, I think Laffy, the reborn Laffy, I gave him the little rose corsage.
Oh, sweet.
And the spy glass thing on his back. Like, I just tried to like give him a couple things like that. But as far as changing like the way they looked, I didn't really do that much.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess I did take off his collar. That was really the only thing I did for him. But yeah, I mean those, all those accessories that you earn by rescuing the cats. I've never messed with any of those in any of the Tales games. It's just maybe a couple things over the years, but I never really dived into that. I don't know what it is about. I just want them to look how they're supposed to look.
Yeah, I will say too that I did give Velvet and Eleanor both the left swept bangs, so like one of their eyes were covered a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And
just a personal choice.
Yeah, just a personal choice. It made Eleanor like 10 times hotter.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why, but it did. So, continuing with the characters, Maggaloo, we'll probably touch on her a little bit more before the episode's over. At the time, I wrote the child.
Okay.
Which we come to know as Velvet names him Laphicet after her brother.
Or number 2. Yeah.
He is adorable and curious. And at the time I wrote this towards like about halfway through, I was like, he is very integral to Velvet and Company, which didn't change, but I didn't know too much about that. I can answer this now. I put Eleanor is to be determined. So I ended up really liking her character. I did not like her at all at first, and I think you're not supposed to.
No, well, she's I mean, she works for the Abbey. She's a praetor, so you're not supposed to. She's obviously, you fight her a couple of times, and the party even makes fun of her that she cries. Yeah. But yeah, she wears her emotions on her sleeves, and she is one of these noble people, but then is kind of like exposed to the horrors within her own organization and can't stand for it. Like, still believes in the principles that but not the truth, and I completely respect that. That's who she was, and then she evolves a lot as a character. All of them do, but especially her.
Yeah, she definitely grew on me for sure. And then, like you said, like watching her develop, watching her start to ask these questions, and really seeing how much it bothered her to start realizing some of the things that the Abbey was doing, even though because she looked at the Abbey in such high regard.
Yeah.
And Shepherd Arturius, Lord Arturius, whatever you want to call him, she was just, he is the man. But then you start to find out that the Abbey's not exactly what it seems. Arturius is up to some shit, along with Melchior, who I think... In my opinion, I feel like Melchior might have been the real bad guy of this game.
Yeah, I mean, they called him the Shadow. of the Abbey, right? And that's always he wasn't pulling the strings, but he was definitely manipulating quite a bit. As you learn more about him, that Artorias was definitely the main bad guy, but he was just as important to everything.
Yeah. What do I have written? Oh, Eisen.
Eisen, yes.
Eisen.
The Reaper.
He is the Reaper. He is 1,000 years old pirate. But he looks about 30.
Yeah. He's Malkin,
And,
so.
He's the first mate of the Van Eltia, which is a pirate ship that is ran by Van Eyfried, who is missing.
Yes, and you have no idea who he is. Now, if you played Zestiria first, 'cause that's the order that was released in, Eyfried's name pops up a whole bunch, and you're actually searching for his lost treasures. So it was awesome. That part and that other things that connect the two games, those were some of the cool little things that got thrown in there that really engaged you in the story even more. It's like, oh, now I'll know where this legend comes from. Hopefully we can finally, meet him at some point in time.
Yeah, and that was one of the cool things I thought about playing Berseria first, is that it might, spoil me as far as gameplay, but now I've got the backstory to what will be going on in
I think you're going to enjoy it a little bit more. I've talked to one other person who played them in that order as well, not release order, and they actually enjoyed both games. So I think maybe it was just a bad choice on Bandai Namco's to release it in that order, but I can understand why they did.
According to this Wikipedia here, I won't spoil Zestiria because we haven't gotten there, but Eisen is the elder brother of a character in Zestiria, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, one of your party members. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cute.
It is you hear him talk about her quite often, and when you see that character, you will see the resemblance. That obviously Malkin did not have actual brothers and sisters, but they were created, I think they said, at the same Earth Pulse Point at the same time. So
yeah, it's explained that they came out of the Earth Pulse Point a few days apart.
Yeah,
and he did not feel the connection to all the other ones that had come out like he did her. So it was kind of like, he became like a sister thing.
Go ahead, and speaking of other party members from Zestiria, you do run into another one.
Do you?
Know? Yeah. A certain short-tempered Malkin that run around with a gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. God, what was his name? I
always want to say Siegfried, but I know that's not right. I just don't think it's right. Zavid, that's it. Yeah, good job.
Okay, so okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
That's something to look forward to.
I got to think, because there's a big time gap, but he is a Moloch, isn't he?
Doesn't matter. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. And that leaves the character that probably annoyed me the most at first, but did grow on me slightly. And that's Bienfu. My God, he annoyed the shit out of me at first.
He's terrible, but
his voice.
Oh, Miss Magilou.
You do feel bad for the guy, though, because, hanging out with Magilou's torture for God knows how many years. It's no wonder they ran off and went to Miss Eleanor.
What won me over with him was whenever he would start to cry and he would say his name.
The tears just falling like around.
Got me every time.
Yeah. He's always I loved it. He's a character that you love to hate, and he grows on you at the end. Until a certain moment, but yeah.
I believe it's like when you first meet Magilou, she's looking for a traitor.
That's exactly right.
And that's why she comes with you, is because she's like, I'm going to find this traitor. And then when you meet Eleanor, then you meet Bienfu, and Magilou's like, hello, Bienfu. And Bienfu's like, oh no, that voice.
That scene where you just see Bienfu, and then you see like her shadow rise up behind him, and just the evil eyes, and he's doomed.
If anything was comic relief, it was Bienfu and Magilou.
Yes,
those two were there definitely to lighten the mood sometimes. Not always.
No. Because she was a completely dark character, so it's weird that she was lightening the mood. Yeah.
Yeah. you end up finding out in the end. Oops, okay, from here on out, spoilers.
Yeah.
You end up finding out that Magilu is like the foster daughter of Melchior, and he had mentally just beat her down, and I guess she wasn't. He called her his greatest failure.
Yeah, she was supposed to kind of take over for him as the shadow, because as we found out, Melchior has lived for many hundred years. So,
yeah, just doing all the bad stuff for the Abbey.
yeah, there's a lot that you find out that's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah,
so so Maggie Lee was a praetor for the Abbey. Yeah,
and let's go ahead and talk about this now, because it's on my mind and I don't want to forget about it. So,
sure.
Explain to me something at the end when you're seeing all of the Earth Pulse flashbacks. Were those there to fuck with Velvet? I mean, I know they were, but like, were they true or were they fake? Because that one, like the village, when you go to the village again for the second time and everybody's alive, and then you end up seeing that it's an illusion. And Velvet kind of has to get past that mentally, but then it's around that point that Velvet starts to really break.
Yes.
And in the Earth Pulse point, there was one specific one that they showed that was Arturius and the original Laphicet, where Laphicet basically asks to be the final sacrifice.
Yes.
I could not tell if that was true, if that was something that Innominat was showing, which Innominat is the final boss of the game, everyone.
There you go, spoiler, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a big god that Arturius is trying to summon because it will wipe humanity of all sin and fear and free will and thought. And basically everybody will be a mindless zombie and just live life. I guess everyone will just do good. There will be no more like casual conversations, nothing. You kind of just live and die, and that's what happens.
Yeah. So I mean, to answer your question, as far as I know, that's exactly what happened. I don't have anything to say that wasn't it, and I can see Laphicet doing that. Like, he knew he was going to die, so why not try to make his life worth something?
And I could kind of see that too, man. But like at the same time, I was like, oh fuck, Velvet girl, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, how he did it for her though, because he thought that's what would do it. He had no idea that he was going to be reborn as Innominat. I don't think. I think he was just trying to sacrifice that. He thought that would really help. Not fully. How could you understand? You know.
Yeah. Well, oh, man, I guess I felt bad for Velvet, because at that point I was like, oh man, everything she did was for nothing. Almost.
Like,
God. Yeah. Like, what that whole section of game there at the end was just brutal with story.
Yeah, I mean, it's all trying to get despair out of Velvet, in order to awaken Innominat. So
yeah, which Innominat is one of the 5 Empyreans, was extremely powerful. I guess would Innominat be considered a Moloch too?
And yeah, I mean, he's an Empyrean, so he's kind of borders. I always viewed him as the one ruling over all of them. So the other ones kind of just kept the balance going.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot. It's a deep story. So you've got all this action battle system, but you've really got to pay attention to the story, because they're connecting 2 games in essence as well. So there's a lot of overarching themes going on. Tales games always end up like that.
Yeah. Now, I assume in Zestiria, the main god is Fee's true name, correct?
Taurus or something like that.
Yeah, God, as soon as I saw it at the end of the game, I was like, I need to write that down because I need to ask James about that. Went and took a leak and forgot it while I was taking a leak. While I was standing there, I'm like, Mao. Oh no, Mao.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah, it's kind of weird because you see the end of that game and you're kind of wondering how they get to that point, but that's exactly, that's him.
Okay. And Let me see what my notes got here so far. Oh, so Oscar and Teresa, that was a moment too.
Oh, when they fight and
When you fight them there towards the end, Oscar and Teresa, they are two members of the Abbey, kind of high-ranking. Their brother and sister. Well, they say they're brother and sister. It's kind of like she didn't have anybody and he accepted her.
yeah, they adopted her into the family, so they were technically like a stepsister and brother, which let me go ahead and just say it. That makes it better because I always felt like there was a really weird attraction between the two of them. We've talked about Japanese weird brother-sister things, but they weren't actually related, even though they looked like each other.
Yeah, I got some
They
weird
looked
vibes
like
from
brother and
that.
sister.
Yeah, I once they started going into that they weren't really family, I was like, oh, okay. That explains some of the weird tension between the two of them. It's kind of like Eisen when he was talking about his sister. Because
A little bit.
They're
Yeah.
not really brother and sister, but I think it was Lafayette was like, I'd like to meet her. And he's like, you lay a hand on her. I'll kill you.
And Benwick's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
He's heard that before.
It's like, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, Laffy's like 9 years. He looks like he's 9 years old. I think he'd be all right.
So, not to spoil anything, but the character he's referring to is called Edna. And when you see that, you're actually like, oh, but Edna actually appears the same age. So, like we said, would actually be somebody.
Okay.
Of course, it's appearances, and that she's old as well, but I don't think age matters at all.
Yeah, that's one of them. When you're playing JRPGs, that's one of those things you got to kind of accept. It's like, all right, well, that person looks 12, but I'm sure they're 1,000.
Yeah, probably.
But Oscar and Teresa are basically trying real hard to stop you, and it ends up that Oscar gets this art, which is like the magic of the world, really. It's experimental art that isn't known to work yet or not, and Teresa steals a ship, and you guys end up finding that ship, and they're all like, all her fucking crew is dead from the Corsair Scourge. Wow, I said that Corsair Scourge.
Nice, yeah.
Fucked that up the first time. And they're all dead except her, and I guess she lucked out. But you end up
she made it longer than the other ones.
taking her hostage to use her as a tool against her brother when you go to fight him, because he is guarding the last Therian. I guess we should
probably talk about Therians.
Yeah. Therians are like, they eat malevolence in the world. So think of malevolence as like sin. That's the way I looked at it.
Yes.
It was like your sins, and they eat it, and the Abbey has got them captured in specific areas where there is like a strong concentration of malevolence, and you eventually Velvet and crew decides that you need to go capture all of the Therians.
Yeah. 8 of them in total.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be 8 of them, which on the Earth pulls points, feeding malevolence to Enominat to keep him fed, I guess, and happy.
Yeah, so he doesn't flip the fuck out.
Yes.
And I messaged you because at first I thought we were going to have to go around and kill all the Therians. And I won't say that I was right, but I won't say that I was quite wrong, because I said, isn't Velvet a Therian? And you're like, yeah, she is. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well.
No, you start adding that up pretty quickly, and you're like, oh, we're missing a Therian or 2.
It's like, oh, man. Oh, what's going to happen?
Which explains why she was where she was at in the prison. That was a point. So,
yeah. So going back to the battle with Oscar and Teresa, you end up killing Oscar. Like, he goes crazy with his art, and you end up having to...
Armatus, yeah.
Yeah, and that's right. That's what it's called, Armatus. So, like, Velvet, jumps over him, with this crazy, wicked ninja move, and just, swipes at his back, and it kills him. And he falls down. And then she has this moment where she looks at Teresa, and Teresa's like, you killed him. And immediately I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
And Teresa's like, you killed my brother. You killed my brother. And then Velvet's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she starts having flashbacks to when Arturius killed Laufey. And I was just like, oh, God, dude, this game is tearing at my heart right now.
Yeah, it was odd considering how many quote unquote people, but you know, all they were demons, how many she's killed to that point, but now regrets instantly doing this to Oscar. It was a weird moment, yeah.
Yeah. And then she ends up having to kill Teresa as well, and then they die hand in hand laying there. And just, I mean, granted, like, Velvet ate them and they were inside of her then, because Velvet, like, absorbs Malak when she eats them.
Yeah, which turns out to be vital to the rest of the story, but
man, that was another heartstring puller. And then the other baddie that I had written down, you know, because we touched on Melchior a little bit, Shigure.
Rokuru's elder brother, yes.
Rokuru's elder brother and the owner of Stormhow. And he's such a dickhead.
He is, but like you kind of, I always liked him actually.
Oh, I respect him. It's
Yeah.
just he's such a like a, oh, Rokuro, you need to go get better. You suck, little brother. Like
He's like, which is funny because Roku is extremely strong, but like compared to Shigure, he's just nothing like it.
yeah, I had I don't know if you ever watched Naruto at all.
No, I haven't.
But there's a character in that where he's always wearing his name is Rock Lee, I think is his name, and he's always got weights on.
Okay.
Like he wears weights on his wrists and on his ankles and stuff. And there's a scene where he's going to fight Gaara, and he I think it was his trainer Guy tells him to drop the weights.
Okay.
And they're like we've never seen Rock fight without his weights before, and Rock drops the weights, and when they hit the ground, they put a crater. Boom! Like that's how heavy they were. And that's what I immediately thought of in the final battle with
In the final
Shigure.
fight, yes.
When she takes off the weights from him, and I was like, oh, he's going Rock Lee. This ain't going to be good.
Yeah, it was funny because his Moloch, it was holding him back the entire time to train. And what he said, like, at the very beginning, he couldn't even lift his finger. It was so intense. And, like, you never even knew he was inhibited at all. And she releases it. And no, I thought immediately of, like, Dragon Ball Z with Goku. Because he always trained with weights. And, you know, there's that one when he's going to Namek and he's training in the ultra high gravity chamber. And it's like that's the first, you know, he couldn't even move his finger at first.
Yeah.
It was so intense. I was like, oh man, that's such an awesome moment.
Yeah, it's really like, oh, yeah, shit's on now.
Exactly.
Shit is on
And what an
now.
awesome final move that he has to do in order to defeat him is like, okay. Yeah, because he couldn't beat him in a straight sword fight. It had to be something special, the 3-sword technique.
Oh, yeah. So basically the story with those two is Shigure has the family heirloom sword, and all the brothers got a fake version. And did they ever get into why Rokuro wants to kill Shigure?
So it's funny because you mentioned his honor, but like as a human, Rokuro was actually very unhonest and deceitful, and it turns out that he just wanted the family title. He wanted to be head of the clan, and that's why he went to murder him. He spread the rumors of Shigure wanting to leave in order to have him go try to assassinate him, but he was unsuccessful, and his rage turned him into a demon.
Oh, okay. I don't know how I missed that.
I think it was a skit somewheres at the very end. It finally, but Shigure admitted that he was going to leave anyway, so he didn't mind. I mean, I don't think he wanted his brother necessarily to turn into a demon, but it kind of let him get out. But yeah, he's got the real sword, and it's always Kurigame trying to forge an even better sword than Stormhow.
Yeah, which I thought was going to end up forging himself into a sword. Which
The best was when you wanted me to take a little off the top, and Rokuro cuts his head off to try to forge a sword that's more powerful, and he walks around without a head the entire time.
does this look like the face of a man who would give up?
You don't have a face. The rules don't apply when you're a demon. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, though, I did enjoy, before the final battle with Shigure, when you guys go into that room, he's just sitting there drinking.
Yep.
And Rokuro just walks over to him, could have easily just slashed him and killed him right there. But he takes his sword out, and he sits down, and he hands his brother his sword, and he's like, hey, check this out. And then he has a drink. Like, they're totally calm with one another.
I'm assuming that's some sort of ancient samurai type. Japan understand that more. I mean, we understand it as honor and respect. And they even said, like, they're like, this is a perfect place for an ambush. And Roku was like, no, he'll be sitting out in the open waiting for us. He would never do that.
Yeah. There.
And there he is with his fat cat. What was that cat's name? I can't remember now.
Oh, God. I don't remember either.
I don't know his Malik, but it was a cute little kitty.
Yeah, the kitty was awesome. Oh no, I almost said turtles, but that's somebody completely different.
That's the little merchant guys, yeah.
Toidles.
Toidles.
Yeah, the little turtle guy. Like, he's like, hey, what's up? My name's Toidles. I got everything that you need right here. Okay. It's like, and then Velvet
He's like the
tells
Bronx or something, right?
Yeah. And he's like, I gotta jack the prices up because of where we're at, and things like that. And Velvet's like, I have to kill you if you jack the prices up. And he's like, all right, sale.
Market price it is.
But I always felt bad because he's like, oh, I'm never gonna get no more money. And at the beginning, I assumed that I would run into different kinds of the turtles, but it was always the same one. It was always the white turtle.
It was always the white. I think there's other ones in the other games. So I guess this was just that one for this world.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
I'm pretty sure. I may be wrong.
But man, overall, I really enjoyed this. I'm trying to think of some story beats that really stuck out to me too. Oh God, Blood Wings?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what they
the
were
kind of
called?
mercenary type groups or whatever.
Yeah, I was sketched out about them at first.
Yeah, they didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I was almost worried that they were the ones feeding information to the Abbey.
Well, maybe. You don't really know.
But then also, like, apparently Bienfu was feeding information to the Abbey, but then
the whole time.
You ask him what he told them, and he's like, I told them that Velvet would actually probably make a good housewife. And he's just like, stuff like that. And they're like, did you tell them anything, like, remotely that they could use? And he's just like,
Bien.
So you never really find out what exactly he told her. And then I was curious. I was happy to see that Magilu, like, it wasn't Magilu, because even though she tried to lie and say that it was her because she just wanted to stir some shit there.
Yeah, it's like as soon as they find out it's BMFU, she's like, oh no, you've discovered our horrible plan. What will you do with us?
And they're like, yeah, we heard the whole thing. She's like, oh, you guys are no fun. God, Magilu. Okay, here you go. Fuck, marry, kill, because it's perfect. There's 3 of them. So I'll let you say bang. We'll do bang, marry, kill for you.
Oh man, okay.
Velvet, Magilu, Eleanor.
That's terrible. Like, okay, so Velvet post claw hand and everything, you probably just want to bang and get away with, right? And you gotta, you would marry Eleanor because she's the good girl. And yeah, sorry, Magalu.
See, I had similar thoughts, except I think that I would marry Eleanor. I would bang Magalu.
Okay.
And I would kill Velvet only because that demon hand, and she, if you didn't do it good enough, she's gonna fucking devour you like a spider. Like it.
Oh, like a praying mantis. Yeah, you're done.
But Magilu, I feel like, would keep things interesting. So I don't know, like, being able to being married to Magalu would be interesting for sure.
Oh yeah, that would.
Oh sure.
I don't know. She'd probably drive you crazy. Keep you on your toes, but.
Oh yeah, Absolutely.
Yeah, Eleanor is definitely the one you can bring home to mom. She's which I didn't, just speaking on her quickly, like at the very end, it shows her helping out people. On the Wikipedia, it says she turns into the next shepherd, which I don't think they ever actually said that. So I'm not sure where exactly they implied that from. Obviously, she was helping people, but
Yeah, I'm looking here right now, and it says, she becomes the new shepherd, one of the few humans to maintain the ability to see Malachim.
yeah. So I mean so that is an important part, as you would learn in Zestiria. That's one thing that sets the shepherds apart. They can still see them. Which I don't know if you noticed in the last scene that when Benwick looked up at the mast of the ship, he could not actually see Eisen anymore.
Oh, bro, made me tear up. That was another point that made me tear up. I was like, oh, Eisen's all alone now, but not really, because he'll always have his... Oh, man.
He's got his Reaper's coin, I guess. So.
Oh, dude, and I wanted that coin to be heads so bad when he flipped it the last time, but it was satisfying that it landed on tails again.
No, it never will.
Nothing's changed for him, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, no. Did you see the skit where, I forget who it was, but they had a couple other coins?
oh, yeah, it was Rokuro.
Yeah.
Yeah, he flips the first one, it gets stolen by a bird. He flips the second one, it gets stolen by the griffin.
Yes.
And then he flips the third one, and it just shatters.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, it was so funny. The skits are so funny. The after battle things get a little old after a while, but the optional skits I always thought were extremely entertaining and all voice acted, so it was really well done.
Yeah, there were a couple of the after battle ones that didn't get old to me. One of them was like, I think it was Rokuro was like, "This is my Rangetsu style," and Eisen's like, "So that's the Rangetsu style, huh?" And he's like, "No." And then Eleanor's like, "So from here to here is the Rangetsu style?" And she's like holding her hands out, and he's like, "No."
So okay, let's go ahead and throw it out there. What was your main party? I forgot to ask you this.
Oh man, my main party was Velvet, Rokuro, Eisen, and Eleanor.
Okay, all right. So
before that, I would use Laffy. I honestly didn't use Magilu much because in my head canon, like, she wouldn't want to be participating.
Okay.
Like, in my head, she would be the one kind of standing off to the side being like, "I'll help if you need me, but I'm going to be over here."
No, I mean, so same except Magalu for Eisen, where that was my main. But it's really good because with a party of 6 and be able to change them in so easily in and out of battle, you needed to, especially in the tougher fights. You'd be using all 6.
Yeah, absolutely, because you need to like switch over to somebody who has their full soul bars.
Yeah,
to kind of do, and that's the thing about the other thing about the combat that it took some getting used to me, because it's like a beat 'em up style combat with turn-based elements to it. So it's like you've got souls, quote unquote, and you can build up, I think, was it 5 of them?
You can get
total.
I think 6.
It might be
was
6.
Some of the equipment you could get a little bit higher.
But you use those to either use your like claw attack with Velvet or your mystic arts, which I don't know if it's because I just mainly used Velvet and not a lot of the other characters. There was an achievement on Steam for seeing all of the mystic arts and hidden arts.
Right.
And I did not get that achievement. So
no, neither did I. So don't feel too bad.
I in fact, I don't think I saw anything other than the one over and over and over.
So, like, there's 2. Each one has 2 different ones, and obviously the second one's a little bit harder to get. It takes 4 instead of 3. And I tried. Like, I actually made it to where they couldn't do their level 3 one. I turned it off, but like, I still didn't get all of them. And I see now. I mained with Eleanor once I got her. I thought she was extremely fun to play. I know you stuck with Velvet, which I did the first playthrough. And yeah, it kind of, especially like Magilus, like she used it all the time. It was extremely effective. I don't know if you even saw it with
the one where she extends the card super high into the sky and then just slams it on him.
Yeah, which is great because she hits everybody. Like most of the Mystic Arts, it seems like it only hits one enemy, but hers would hit everybody on the field.
Yeah, which came in handy for those dangerous encounters or risky encounters.
Yeah. Risky encounters, yes. So I did one the other. So I didn't even know it was a thing. Like I accidentally got into a risky encounter and ended up getting the Lindblom random monster boss thing at the end. Did that happen?
Oh.
I guess that didn't happen to you.
No.
I need to look it up exactly because it happened last night just randomly, and you get a trophy for it. But I think you just have to enter in a risky battle and meet some certain parameters, and then as soon as you clear all the enemies, like it froze up, and I was like, oh no.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I haven't saved in a while. I'm going to have to go back, but like then all of a sudden this big beast shows up and you got to fight him. I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
That's the dire enemies.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's like I did have that happen. It wasn't necessarily the same beast, but I'd be in a fight and I'd clear it out, and we'd kind of just be standing around, and I'm like, all right, game's taking a minute to load, and then it would be like dire battle, and I'm like, oh,
Okay.
all right, here's this thing with a ton of HP that you got to go and wail on.
You didn't get a trophy for that one?
No, I did, just not the
Okay.
specific. I
Okay.
think there's a couple different ones of those that can show
Really?
up.
Let's see. I don't recall that. Obviously, I got a new trophy, so I don't recall that happening in my first playthrough. It completely threw me off, but it was pretty cool.
Did you do any of the hunts?
I did most of them just kind of as I went across them. I think I missed the one kind of jewel-looking one at the very end that you can't even damage. I don't know what was going on with him. Did you fight that guy? He looks like a big crystal.
Is that the one where when you hit him, it would do damage to you?
Yes, it was all reflecting. If you looked at his stats, it was 9999 for physical and magic damage or defense.
Yeah,
So-
I think I ended up beating him, but I don't remember. I ended up blowing through all of my items,
Okay. I ran away. I was like, screw this.
but I do think I ended up beating him. I can't remember
Okay.
how though. And I do want to say that it was my party members that killed him, not me.
Yeah.
Like I was just basically tanking him. I would wail on him and then heal, and then wail on him and then heal.
Okay.
I think Magilu and I think I had in Magilu and Laffy at that point for some reason, and I think they handled it from afar.
That's cool.
I
I did, like I said, I think of all but like 3 that I could
Yeah,
find.
I think there were 3 or 4 that I didn't get because I didn't feel like backtracking. Now, here, speaking of backtracking, one of my notes,
All the backtracking.
Titania drove me fucking nuts.
Going down
because
to the pit every time. Oh my God.
having to go to the other side, and then they're like, all right, well, now you need to go do this, and it's on the other side of Titania. So you run back to the other side, and then they're like, okay, well, now you need to talk to this person, and then you have to run all the way back to the thing down there so Laffy can use his compass, and
It was annoying.
then you got the geo board, which I thought was ridiculous.
It makes it, I mean, it's a little bit quicker, so I like that part.
Yeah, it's a little bit quicker.
Marginally.
Not a ton, but it is a little quicker. But it got to the point where, like, at first I'm like, well, this is dumb. And then it was like, I'd get to a new area and be like, fuck, why can't I ride my dumb board?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You got to find the thing to enable it, of course, which is halfway through the level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that is one of the major gripes about this game is the backtracking, and it's well deserved.
And I felt like an idiot. So I had a whole stack of the Denof bottles.
Okay.
Enof, whatever they were called.
The fast travel ones.
Yeah, I could
Yep.
not figure out how to use them. Like, I would go into the menu, and
Yes.
I'm like, all right, so these are just here. I don't know what the hell, right? Dude,
There's a
on the
button.
way, like, after... It was after the... before the battle with Melchior, but, like, you were in that little town where you guys go in and scare everybody off.
Yes.
I hit the left trigger button, and
Just
it
by
brings up,
accident.
like, do you want a fast travel? And I went, motherfucker.
Oh my God.
I don't know how much I had backtracked in that game, and I could have just hit this button and ported somewhere.
Yeah, and you can buy them at the shop, so they're not that expensive.
Oh, I was livid with myself.
Yeah, like I did the same thing because I forgot that, and I probably went through half the game before I started using them. And there's some some warp points, but they're really random and they're not that great. You still definitely need that, especially if you don't need to level up running back through.
Oh yeah, the warp points, man. I almost didn't use those much because I was like, I don't know where the other warp point is.
I don't know what this means. I don't know where
Yeah.
this is taking me.
Yeah, it's like, all right, the west side.
don't
This
know.
map has changed directions 4 times since I've been running around, so I don't really know which direction's west anymore.
It definitely had like some dungeon or long field battle segments that were way too long and needless. Like what's that one where you're going to get the first little girl, Minanoa, whatever her name is.
Oh, Kimoana?
Yes, when you had to go through that coral long, I just feel like that was the longest, needlessly long dungeon to get to the dungeon. It took forever.
Yeah, dude. Kimoana. A lot of those, yeah, it's like on the way to it, there could have been some stuff cut, but they were also, I know that there's like this, at least in MMORPGs, I think it was Final Fantasy, when they first made Final Fantasy 14, they wanted each quest to take about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And they would try to do filler type things to make the quests last a little longer, to make it seem like you were having to do a decent amount of stuff to do the quest, you know what I mean? And I think they've kind of backed off on that a little bit, but I always try to keep that in mind where I'm like, all right, so they're just padding this out to extend it some.
That's
But
what I kind
on
of
the
felt like. I was running in a big circle and finally ended up where I was wanting to go to.
Yeah, I do not disagree at all, though, that there's a lot of spots that could have been shortened and it wouldn't have affected the game at all.
No, because, I mean, especially about that point, if you did proper leveling up, you didn't really need to. You'd be fine. You didn't need to grind.
Yeah. Oh, the final dungeon running around trying to find a Nominat, I think I fought 3 things.
I ran as much as I could. 'Cause like I said, I was exhausted anyway, and I was fine. I knew I didn't need to level. And
Yeah.
that's one of the more frustrating last dungeons in video games. I did not like it at all.
Oh, my. Dude, I even said, I was talking to the guys, I was like, I'm so lost right now. I didn't use a guide. I was proud of it. I did figure it out on my own.
Good job.
But man,
Yeah, me either.
God,
Which is so random. I mean, you open up a portal and you don't know where it even is, let alone where it's going to take you to, and then you got to backtrack to get to it and run around all these enemies that are kind of strong and very annoying. Like they could wipe you out pretty easily if you didn't weren't on it. And I didn't need to. I wanted to be done with the game.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, I'm ready to see the end of this. I don't need another 100 random battles, you know.
No, I was good. So, did you catch your play clock? What you ended up going to beat it?
Well, Steam and the game read differently for some reason. I think it's because I left it paused a bunch, while I would go do stuff. But my in-game clock was 43 hours.
Okay, excellent.
My Steam clock is like 60 something.
That sounds a bit more. Even my second playthrough, I think, was at 55. And like I told you, when we were messaging, I was like, my first playthrough had 90 hours on it. I don't know if I just left it on for a day or something.
That's possible.
I did. It's not like I did it, 100% or did all this or that. I think I just ran through it. So
That's like my first beat time for Persona 5. You could take probably a good 20, 25 hours of that off because I had my wisdom teeth taken out at that time, so I would just fall asleep all drugged up while playing Persona for like 5 hours, wake up for an hour, play a little bit, and fucking nod back out for 3 hours.
That's funny.
So
it's funny. It's
artificial
funny you
time.
say that too because Persona 5 could have used about 20 hours cut out of it. I feel like.
Yeah.
Loved
God,
every
what a
minute
long
of it, but there was a little bit because, we could wrap it up at 100. We don't need to go to 120 necessarily.
Yeah, man, what a good game. I hope that eventually gets a PC release.
Never. You've got Golden. Just be happy with it.
Fair.
If I have anything to say about this.
Fair enough. I can't argue that. At all. So, basically, final notes. I didn't want to spoil everything about the game because I feel like, some people...
We've done a pretty good job of it, so why stop?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair point. It ends up turning out that Innominat this big baddie that you are trying to go after the entire game, ends up being the reincarnation of Laphicet, or is Laphicet.
It is him. I mean, reincarnation is not really appropriate, I don't feel like.
It's so then whenever that art happened, I guess he didn't die. Then he just became.
He just got pierced to the heart with some big, giant, sword thingies, and then fell into an Ominot and got eaten. So he should have died. Like, I don't see how he didn't, but obviously was then reborn. Yeah, it's weird, weird looking dude. And then at the very end with him and Artorias, they are Armitage. It's like, holy cow, that's an incredible moment.
Yeah, that was a cool scene, man. When they formed together as one.
Yeah,
and that is a hell of a battle.
Yeah, that was not easy. That was definitely one of the more challenging ones.
No, yeah, it took me twice. He did kill me the first time.
Really? Okay. I can knock on wood. I didn't die, but I played on normal. I don't know if you played it.
No, I was on normal too, but I
Okay.
think I got stun locked, and there was like nothing I could do about it.
Oh yeah,
and then,
you're toast.
And then my party members were already kind of floundering. And yeah, once I got stunned, and he hit me, he did his mystic art.
Which is instant. You're dead.
Yeah, I was toast. And then my party members quickly followed because I didn't have any way to revive. But it was a fun fight. I did catch him on the second go around. Now
I knew he had a pattern, and I just was patient. I just blocked. Like, I knew I'd just weather it, and eventually he'll be knocked down.
So at this point in the game, you've gathered all the Therians, you've fed the Empyreans the souls that they need to revive to weaken an Ominot, which was a cool ass scene.
Like, the anime cutscenes are the hallmarks of the Tales experience. They're so cool.
Yeah, so good, dude. I was like, wow. It made me want to go head over to Funimation and see if there's a Tales of Berseria like anime, because I would totally watch it.
I don't think there is now. There is a Zestiria one that's actually been very well received. I was told was way better than the game, but I don't think Berseria got into one.
Well, I'll check it out
Okay.
regardless,
Yeah.
and I will look into it. But so it's come down to like, how is this going to happen? Because if Velvet kills an Ominot, Velvet dies.
She is a part of him, as is the Malachine.
Yeah, like
and
all.
Laphicet, yeah.
Like, so he dies, all Malachim are gone. It would wipe him out, and that was something that they were willing to deal with the consequence of, and Velvet ends up. Well, first of all, before even that, like, Velvet almost gets eaten by an Ominot. Like, she just gave the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
took Laphicet being like, quit your bitching. Like, stop whining.
Yeah. Well, Isaac's like, tell her what she needs to hear.
Yeah, and I was thinking he was going to tell her he loves her or something like that. And he's just like, stop whining. And he just chews her out. And then he eventually tells her he loves her.
Yeah, at the very end. That's sweet.
And he gets, she gets escapes, and then you fight a Nominat. And at the very end, Velvet goes walking up to Laffy, the real Laffy,
Yeah.
and he's like crying, telling her that he hates her, all this kind of stuff, and she hugs him.
He's so hungry. Yeah.
And he's so hungry because he has no malevolence to feed on.
Yeah.
But like, Velvet is the personification of malevolence, and she feeds on Malachim.
The Lord of Calamity.
So, yeah, the Lord of Calamity. So, Laffy bites her on the neck and starts draining her. But she takes her claw out and grabs Laffy.
Yeah.
So, it's this never-ending cycle of them feeding on one another for eternity.
Yeah, it's kind of a yin-yang ideal. But yeah, just a perpetual cycle of transference of power. And they go into that eternal slumber, and Laphicet loses it. He doesn't, I love you, and
Yeah.
she's got to go.
It was at this point that I was in the Discord chat and went, "Oh shit," and hit mute and pulled my headphones off. And I'm watching this where she's talking to. I keep wanting to call him Laphicet, but it's weird because she's also attached to Laphicet. So the Malakim Laphie.
Yeah.
She's
Fee,
talking to
or
him.
whatever.
Yeah, Fee. And she's telling him, go out there and live your life. He said he's not afraid to die, and she's like, good then, die when your time comes.
Yeah.
You have a lot left to do, help people. Like, I'll be okay. And just, damn, man, what a poignant moment.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It was a very cool wrap up, man, and that ends up saving everything. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, then the Empyreans, if they're let loose on the world, it wreaks havoc. So there has to be another guiding force, and so there has to be a new Empyrean, and there's only one person for the job.
Fee steps up and says that he will do it, and they ask him why he wants to do it, and he basically goes on this Miss America spiel.
It wasn't the best ever, but
But I mean, yeah, I understand. Like, coming from a little kid, though, like, I'm like, all right, I can get why he would be so gung ho about life.
You're saying this is the world peace answer? Yeah.
Yeah, basically, he wanted everybody to be all right, and he wanted to give everybody who had been turned into a demon a second chance at life, and all of that. And the Empyreans find what he says to be noble, so they make him the fifth Empyrean, and then everybody, like, this big light happens, everybody gets ported away, and then there's this giant fucking dragon in the sky. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, on the Empyrean's throne. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's it's coming. Yeah.
Or that's Fee. Well, I say that.
Even going on the deeper dive of all of it was, the first Scarlet Knight when your Celica is sacrificed. She was pregnant with Arthur's child.
Yeah.
They were both reborn as Ceres the Mullican and as number 2 at the time. So, in essence, Laphicet the Mullican was Velvet's nephew, unborn. So there's and Arthur's child, which I don't know if he ever actually realized or knew that.
No, I don't.
He didn't act like it if he did.
No, yeah, totally not. But that was another story beat that I was like, oh man, because I didn't remember. I remembered Velvet kind of hinting at Ceres being Celica.
Oh, she knew it right away.
Yeah, I see. And I didn't catch that. I don't know if I was just looking at my phone at the beginning of the game. So that reveal was like, oh, damn, to me.
Yeah. Yeah. What did, when you first started the game, you're like, yeah, I've got Velvet. And how did you describe Ceres?
Oh. Was it Half Naked Ninja Lady? Oh.
It's something with big boobs or something. I was like, oh, Ceres, yes.
I got to go look now.
She definitely got an upgrade in her Malakan form as opposed to human. She's a little more homely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it was definitely tragic. I mean, you cannot feel sorry for Arthur, but at the same time, like he changed that night, like he said, like his wife and unborn child were sacrificed. Now there's kind of the idea and thread that he knew what was going to happen and it was intentional at the same time. But I don't know. I don't want to think that thought because that's just too terrible.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's like, man, yeah. It's like, oh, well, it's 2 birds, 1 stone, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I like to think that he didn't, but I don't know.
I don't know, but it's kind of like, well, why was he there in the first place when he met Celica? Because he was trained to become a future, not shepherd, but definitely to lead the abbey, and then all of a sudden finds himself wore out near their hometown and starts a new life. Just all of a sudden, I don't know. Like, he's so deceivious. Like, I could almost see him like going that route, but I don't want to live in a world that thinks that deceitfully.
Yeah, and that's basically the thing that I thought, like, because with him sitting there and she comes up to him, he was like, "No, I'm just tired." It's like, well, are you? Like, are you really just tired, or are you like here to find it? Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And I was able to look up the name of. I couldn't find what I called Saris. I assume it was Big Titty Ninja Chick. Because that just seems like something that I would say. But
Is she going to be a DLC in the upcoming Neptunia crossover ninja fighting game?
oh man, I'd play as her.
I know, I would too. Totally.
For sure. Laufey's dragon name is Maltellus.
That's it. Okay, so we were close.
I could not remember. It means the like wielder of the silver flame, I believe.
Yeah, that was his gift to the world.
And he looks awesome, but it was absolutely hilarious to me they didn't change his voice.
Nope, he's still same one. It sounds older, maybe a tiny bit, but
yeah, he's
not
got a
really.
little dragon in there, but it's just like, do I scare you now?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
like, oh no, not now that you talked.
No, I'm fine now. Thanks.
That's like when you see like a really jacked up guy and he's like,
Hey, how you doing?
oh, all right.
Thanks. Okay.
Thanks, Roids.
No kidding.
But it ended on a good note, and I did not expect it to because of how bleak the game was. I was like, surely, and it honestly, it didn't end great for Velvet, but
No, but
sacrifice.
Like I said, she dug her grave.
Yeah, she knew what she was getting into from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And to see her end it the way that she did was just really cool to me.
It was.
It's almost like her atonement for everything that she had done is that she is now going to do this for eternity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she got her revenge, and she got her brother back in a way. So.
Yeah, and what better than to hold Laufey for eternity?
Yeah.
The brother that she thought she would never hold again.
Of course, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Fucking A, man. What a story. Like,
It really is. Like, I don't think people go into Tales games kind of expecting that.
Not a
I
bit.
mean, there's been some experiences, certainly. Like, I've enjoyed them, and that's why I put Berseria in high regard in terms of one of my favorite Tales experience. And you've heard me harp on the podcast a million times. When it goes on sale, why have you not bought this game? Go get it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. If I were going to give it a ranking, I would give it 8.5 out of 10 Bienfus.
That's exactly the number I had in my mind.
Yeah, it's a solid 8.5 for sure. Like, had some points that it could have been improved, but like otherwise, very, very good.
Yeah. No, I mean, the backtracking, the as flashy as the battle is, it can get repetitive. That's the graphics I thought were very good. I don't know what it looked like on PC, if it ran any better, looked any better, but I thought it was perfectly fine on PS4.
Oh yeah, I honestly, playing it on PC, it might have looked a little crisper, but like other than that, I didn't see where PC would have benefited a ton for this kind of game. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way the Tales games. They're never going to be mind-blowingly beautiful games. That's not what they're going for.
Well, I think that what they do though, they succeed well at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So before we get into plugs and stuff, I got a couple random things to bring up.
Okay. Sure.
First is, we've talked about this a little bit, the Edge of Eternity.
Yes. Yes.
They did reply to me when I put in my,
look
and
at
they
you.
told me that my problem stemmed from my Steam installation, so to check the file integrity.
Oh, so they blamed you.
Yeah, pretty much. So I did that.
Oh,
and,
when it changed the language.
Yeah, when I logged in and everything was like
okay.
wingdings and Sanskrit. Yeah. So
that was hilarious.
I haven't loaded it up since then, but I did do that.
Okay.
To see if it'll fix it. So next time we talk, I can let you know about that. I meant to do that last night, but I was so into Tales that I forgot.
I thought you were referencing the obvious flaws with the game that they had. They said it was an installation error. No, there's some things that need some addressing on that game.
Yeah, I agree. There was another like 3 gigabyte update for it a couple days ago.
Okay.
So I need to log in and see if they fixed the characters at all, because it just really throws me off how skinny their arms are.
I think they might have, because I posted that on the channel the other day. They did an 8-minute walkthrough, which still had a few things in it, but it definitely looks like it's their current build and maybe their best effort.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that. And the other things that I have, we can talk about this if you want. If not, it's all good. But you are moving to JRPG Island at some point, sir.
So that's the plan. Plans change, but
oh yeah, I know that. And knock on wood.
No, that is our ultimate goal. And in reality, whether it happens this summer, which we got a kid in school, so we don't want to mess up the school year.
Yeah.
That is, whether it's this year or next year or whenever, that is the plan. There's a lot of things that got to happen, but we are excited. Yeah, that's always been the joke, was we were going to, move on down to JRPG Island and like have some sort of convention down there where a bunch of nerds go out and look at the sun for a minute and then go back inside quickly. Like, it hurts. But yeah, that is the hope. We are trying very desperately to make that happen, and I know it'll be what do we say, like a hour or two away from your neck of the woods down there.
Yeah, it'd be about 2.5 hours, I think.
Okay.
And it would put you within visiting distance for some grilling and gaming. So that would be fun.
That sounds like a plan. So I will, like I said, I'll keep you updated, and we'll. Fingers crossed, and like I said, if it doesn't all work out, we'll get down there eventually.
Yes. Now, last question for you. You got a favorite soda?
Diet Coke.
Yeah, that's what I'm drinking right now, sir.
But I said that off the top of my tongue, and I've actually gone Diet Pepsi here lately a lot more. I don't know why. I don't drink hardly at all. Like, I'm a coffee and water guy. So it's a kind of a treat now to have a Coke. Yeah. And I can't do regular. It's too syrupy, but Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi is exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah,
I've been more of a Diet Pepsi guy lately. I got Coke this time because it was on sale, but
has it changed? Like, or are we just imagining that it tastes different?
I don't know. I remember it being awful when I was younger.
Oh yeah, it was undrinkable, and my mom would always get it, and I hated it.
And now I prefer the diet ones. It's like you said, I drink a regular Pepsi or a regular Coke, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is this dessert? What is this?
Yeah, it's
so sweet.
I need a water to kind of wash it down afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. And you're not a beer guy, right?
No, I do. I love beer. So
okay.
That's my drink of choice. I mean, I like wine as well, but typically, like if we go out, I want a good draft beer. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, are you a light beer, a dark beer?
It doesn't matter. Tasty. Like I'll drink a Yingling or a PBR as much as anything else.
Okay.
Stella Artois is my go-to if I can find it and get a fancy beer. But
Stella.
Exactly. They look at me very oddly when I order it that way. But yeah, that is.
I usually swing towards the darker beers, but I don't mind any of those. I do like Budweiser, not like Bud Light. I could do without, but like Budweiser, the red can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The redneck in me loves that.
I don't know. It just gives me a headache even thinking about straight Budweiser.
Oh yeah. The next day, if you have too many of them, it's not always great.
I'm at the age where if I know I'm going to drink, I just go ahead and pop a couple headache medicine beforehand because it's coming.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure. And I had a friend of mine too that taught me this trick that she used to do. Whenever she would take a shot, she would chase it with water.
yeah, that's a very good strategy for life. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, anytime I take a shot, I chase it with water. That way I'm keeping myself hydrated and I'm not drinking sugary stuff. And I'm
It's
like,
so weird to think about drinking dehydrates you, but yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, it is kind of weird to think about. But then, like, you also think, all right, well, it's going to make you more than likely throw up when you're younger because you're going to drink too much. So you're going to be losing liquid that way. You're going to be peeing all night.
Yes. Multiple times. Yeah.
Because your bladder is like, no, get this out of me right now.
Ugh. Well, liver has done its job. Now get it out.
I don't want this to sit in here any longer. Yeah, I was just curious because I was talking with some people the other day about sodas, and I've always really liked Diet Dr. Pepper and
Okay.
like Diet Pepsi and stuff. Cream soda is probably my favorite soda, though.
I'm not huge on sodas. Just occasionally, that's about it.
Yeah, and then I figured I'd ask beer too. I had beverage/beer, but I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about drinking liquor, so I figured that like beer is probably more your go-to.
Yeah, I learned my lesson liquor in my 20s, so I'm good.
Yes, sir. It was funny when I turned 21. They were like, "You want to go out and drink?" No, I don't. I was like, I did so much drinking from like 17 to 20 that when I hit 21, I was just like, "Yeah,
Okay. No, I was a good boy. I waited till then. I made up for it.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh,
I'm not saying
man,
I
yeah.
never drank before I was 21, but I'm just saying like I definitely.
Yeah, you didn't pursue it. Like
No, it just
yeah.
happened to be there, type of deals.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, all right, man. I think I've held you a long time. Go ahead and let's get some plugs out there. Tell everybody where they can find you, good sir.
The JRPG Report weekly podcast. You can find it on every listening platform under the sun and futures to come, I'm sure. We do all the news of the week. Try to keep it short and sweet, about 45 minutes, just going over all the main things that happened, all the cool stuff. Sometimes a little longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes we invite awesome people like Dalton on there to talk about do some fun things, but probably it's just for news. And of course we got our YouTube channel getting closer and closer to 1,000, so YouTube will give me a few pennies every video. JRPG Report there. That's the main ones. We're on socials, Facebook and Twitter, if you want to see the things that we end up talking about on the podcast.
Yeah. And I can't recommend it enough. I listen to it every week. I think I've brought this up before, but like I know when I first found your show, it was like I listened to it and I think I tweeted you or something, was like, "Oh, this show's awesome," and you were like, "Oh, sorry, it's over."
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, I quit it like the next week. I took a little, I think about a year off of it. Just life was a little too hectic and I wasn't loving it. And my wife greatly encouraged me to start it up again, and it's been smooth sailing and a joy ever since then.
Yeah, man, and I'm glad you decided to give it a chance again, because we would not be here talking and having a good time had you not. So
yeah, it's yourself and some others. I've made some real friends, and the community has grown, and it's just so cool to find like-minded individuals to talk about these things. It's good for your soul, and especially in this disconnected world, you've got to have that connection with other people, or you're just going to be kind of miserable.
Yeah, for sure.
Even with our solo games, like not when I'm playing my game. Keep me away. I want to be by myself, but we can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the introvert thing, where it's like, all right, listen, I need my time alone. Mm-hmm. But then I will come out of hiding, and then we can talk about anything you want. It's like, but every now and then I just need you to go away for a little while. Yeah. I need to play my game. Nobody talk to me. My headphones are on.
Yeah, about every night, about 10 o'clock to 12. That's me time. Stay away.
Absolutely. All right. Well, for me, anybody wants to find anything to do with me, you can go to thesteammachinepodcast.wordpress.com. All of our links are there. You can find the Patreon link, the merch link. We do Patreon episodes. I've been releasing the uncut version of these, so you get to hear all the beginning shenanigans before the show actually starts over on Patreon. Plus, I do a music podcast over there where I basically just play radio DJ with some of my favorite music throughout the years. We'll see how long it takes for me to get in trouble for doing that. But for now, it's been all right.
You've been canceled. I just want to let you know that, by the way.
It's like, yeah, you get out of here. Get out of here, sir. I do believe that next week's episode is going to be Portal. I know Portal's about 3.5, 4 hours, so I'm going to try to play that this week alongside starting Dragon Quest XI.
Ooh.
So
One of my favorites ever.
yeah, we're going to be diving into that. Yeah, Nate and Willie both are real excited for that because Nate is also a huge Dragon Quest fan. So the last Dragon Quest episode, we might have a round table of people
Ooh,
around
that'd be
to talk
fun.
about it.
Yeah, I might have to fire it back up and refresh the old memory.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. But yeah, next week going to be Portal. I hope you all enjoy that. I will be streaming it on Twitch Tuesday, if I remember. Like this past week, I was supposed to stream on Twitch on Tuesday, and I was playing Final Fantasy XIV, completely forgot to stream. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, and I will be streaming some Portal and or Dragon Quest XI. I will figure it out. But at this point, I'm rambling. James, thank you so much for being here, man. I really do appreciate it.
Not a problem, buddy. Thanks for having me anytime.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I appreciate all of you listening, you wonderful, wonderful people out there in podcast land. This is the Steam Machine Podcast. My name's Dalton. As always, guys, take it easy.